Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back. I'm still getting over being sick, so apologize for the voice. So this might be kind of a spliced video. This is going to be my Jane Austen July TBR for 2023. So I've taken part in Jane Austen July, I think every year that they've had it. I'm not quite sure about the first. I can't remember. I don't know. I have to go back and look. I've done it a lot of years. I usually really look forward to this. And so this year I'm going to do a little bit more of it than I was planning. I was thinking I wasn't going to participate fully. And then we get to July and I want to do it. So we'll see how I'm mood reading quite a bit right now. And we'll see what happens. So these are all piles of possibilities. There are a few that I'm for sure want to get to. But most of them are, if I feel like it, if I get to it. But they're all ones on my TBR that I want to get to at some point. So hopefully this is the month for some of these. So, Jane Austen July is put on by Katie at Books and Things, Marissa at Blatantly Bookish, and Claudia at Spinster's Library. I will have their announcement videos linked down below so you could go to their channels and get all the details from them. I'm just going to kind of go through this as fast as I can due to my voice, and I'm going to start coughing any second. So prompt number 1 is to read one of Jane Austen's main 6 novels, and I'm going to try to read Northanger Abbey. This is one that I've only read once, and probably about 4 years ago I think I read it for Jane Austen July, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was my last Jane Austen. So I've only read this one once, and I'd really like to read it again to hopefully enjoy it more than the second time around. This is her satire on Gothic fiction from that time period. And I've read so much of the stuff that's mentioned in here, and I have so many more to read that are mentioned that I want to get to. But this is a book that I want to give another chance to. It's just not one of my favorites. But I still love her writing. It's just not my favorite. But I like to read it to see if it'll change in my ranking. Maybe this year I'll actually do a ranking of the Jane Austen novels. I just have not done that yet. I keep saying I'm going to do it every year. I put it off. I'm really bad about doing rankings. Anyway, so they're doing a read-along for this the first 10 days of July. So you could join. I think they're on their Goodreads page. So again, they'll be linked with their announcement videos. I'm not sure I'm going to read it quite to their schedule. I usually don't. I think I might have an audiobook for this. So we will, that I got off of Audible Plus. So I don't know. I think it might be a cast audio. So I'm going to try that. But we're going to try this. So anyway, that is the Jane Austen main novel I'm going to read. I don't think I'm going to try to pick up anything else. If I pick up an audiobook on a whim, it's either going to be Pride and Prejudice or Persuasion, because those are my 2 favorite Jane Austens. So, and I love the Rosamund Pike audiobooks that I have with them. Anyway, so that could happen too. The second prompt is to read something other by Jane Austen other than her 6 main novels. So this year I'm going to revisit her letters. I have the illustrated letters of Jane Austen. So this has some of her letters, and then it has little tidbits and pictures and extra stuff in it. So it's has the nonfiction feel to it, but also has her letters. I've read the Oxford World Classics edition with the selected letters of Jane Austen a couple years ago. I did buy the big bind up of all the letters, but I'm just not ready to go to that one yet. This year, I think I'm just going to do this one because I bought this either last year or the year before, and I just haven't had a chance to read this really pretty copy of this. So I want to read that. That's not going to fit over there. I have too many things on my desk. Sorry. Anyway, so that is what I'm going to read. That's by Jane Austen, but that's not one of her main 6 novels. I think the third one, I've got my prompts maybe mixed up, is to read nonfiction about Jane Austen or about the time period that she lived in. So I have a book that I've already started that I will be carrying on into July. I just wanted to get it started ahead of time because it's a really slow read, and that is The Social Life of Books, Reading Together in the 18th Century Home by Abigail Williams. I don't even remember where I saw this, but I had to buy it, and it's a Yale University Press book, so it's kind of academic. But I've read the introduction in the first chapter, and it's talking about how people deal with books during the 18th century, how the changes that kind of that will go into the Victorian age of how important books are and how it started in the 18th century of people reading out loud to each other and kind of, collection within the home. So it's really interesting, but it's during the Georgian period or during the 18th century. So that was part of her time period. So I'm starting that. I also have Sister Novelists by Devone Lucer, I think is how her name said, the trailblazing Porter sisters who paved the way for Austen and the Brontes. So I think they were publishing books right before Austen. So I started this a couple of months ago and got distracted. I actually have a copy on the way to me, but I have the audiobook as well. So I'm hoping to do kind of a read and combo between the two. But this is a big nonfiction book that I saw on Jenna's channel, Chicky Bean Loves Books. I will have her link below, but I remember her talking about this. I'm pretty sure she was raving about it. So I got it, and I do want to get to that. So it'd be nice to make some progress on that. And then if I have time or I feel like it, I might read Elegant Etiquette in the 19th Century by Mallory James. So this covers, the Regency and the Victorian. So I might read part of this now and finish it in Victober. I'm not sure how it's structured. I know that Katie at Books and Things has talked about this a lot. So I might read that for nonfiction. Number 4, I think that was the retellings of Jane Austen's work or a historical fiction that takes place during Jane Austen's time. So I have quite a few retellings. The main one I'm hoping to get to is Sanditon by Jane Austen. So part of it's written by her, but it's also by another lady. So I think this is from the 70s. I think it was the 60s or the 70s. 75, I believe. So a woman, I can't remember her name right now. I'll have to go back and research again. I did know it at one time. And she finished Sanditon, and I'm kind of curious to see how she goes about it in this novel. I also have it on ebook in case I bought this really nice copy, or this really old copy last year. So I do want to read it, but I might not read this copy just because I'm afraid to hurt it. But anyway, so I just think it's kind of interesting. So it's a retelling, but it's also partly an unfinished novel by Jane Austen. I do want to give The Other Bennet Sister by Janice Hadlow another chance. I keep trying to read this, and I always get stalled out around chapter 7 or 8. So this is, again, Mary Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, and it's her story. So the first part is seeing Pride and Prejudice from Mary's perspective, and then what happens later after her life is where it's all very different. I also have Miss Austen by Gil Hornby, which is about Cassandra Austen, Jane's older sister, and I'm sure their relationship too, but it's many years after Jane has passed and something happens and she's looking through stuff. Anyway, I don't know. I've always wanted to pick that up. I just have it. And then I might pick up another Pride and Prejudice retelling that I have on my shelf, which is What Kitty Did Next by Carrie Cableen. I've heard other people talk about this one, so again, this is another one where maybe I'll read that. I don't know what any of those I'm going to read. The Sanditon one is my number 1 priority. It also is kind of my tribute to Janelle at Too Fond of Books that we lost recently, because I'm doing Janelle-a-thon right now, and this is one of the books I want to get to the first part of the month. Hopefully, we'll see. But I think she read this last year, or she talked about it, and then I went out and bought it off eBay right away after she talked about it. So I didn't know anything about this except through her. So I'm kind of reading this kind of for Janelle-a-thon kind of stuff. So we'll see anyway. But that's one of my high priorities for the month. Then the last reading prompt is to read a contemporary of Jane Austen, and this is my second priority. So the first one is that Sanditon one. And I'm going to actually read The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe. So I've read almost everything by her. I only have this novel and The Romance of the Forest, I think, left of her finished novels. I've been kind of making my way through all of her work, through every Jane Austen July. That is many of them. I don't know if I did it for every year, but I've done it for most years. I picked one of her books. I usually pick all the smaller ones first. I started with the Italian, though. So, But I still have this one and Romance of the Forest. I decided this year, this was on one of my 6 books I want to read for the year of classics. So this is my time to read it. So I'm really looking forward to this. I just figure this is going to be gothic fun. And it was published in 1794, so it's in her time period. It's talked about in, I think it's in Northanger Abbey. And I want to get to this and be able to say I've read this one, because I've read so many other of Radcliffe's works. And I have not loved them all, but I've had fun, even when they were kind of weird. And I didn't love them the way they were written, but And then the last 2 prompts are watching prompts. One of them is to watch a direct adaptation. So I have, of course, all my Pride and Prejudice versions. I have it's a 2005. I don't know, whatever this one was. I have the really old one. I just love this because it's so not real. I mean, so not like the actual movie. Oh, I can't remember what year it came out in. Anyway, it was like, I don't know, 40s? I don't know. But anyway, it's Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier. Anyway, I think it's just a funny one because it's so not, it doesn't. And again, the 1995 version is my favorite of the Pride and Prejudice. I mean, I like these other 2 as well, but I know I'm going to watch that one. And then if I want to, I can watch my Persuasion from the 90s as well. So then the last prompt is to read or to watch a modern retelling. So I don't have any modern retellings. I might try to watch something online. They always talk about the web ones, but I don't even know how to get to those. The one about Persuasion sounds really cool. Rational Creatures. So I might look for that to see if I could watch that. I don't know if I can. But this is like not a modern retelling. It's a retelling, but in that time period. But it's modern because they did it just a couple years ago. I did buy Pride and Prejudice and Zombies to rewatch. I watched it so long ago, like in the theater. And I haven't watched it since. And last year I bought it, but it didn't come until I think after Jane Austen July. So I didn't get to watch it, or I didn't get to it. So I might watch that. Anyway, so those are all the books that I think I would like to get to. I'm not going to get to all these, but I want to do some of those things and then watch some of those movies, I'm sure. Some of these I have on audio, some of them I don't, that I want to read physically. I'm not sure how my mood is going to be. Again, I'm getting over being sick, so my reading is I'm reading now, but it's all over the place. Let's just be honest. So, anyway, are you guys doing Jane Austen July? What are your priorities? As I said, my main priority is going to be the Sanditon book, as well as the Mysteries of Udolpho, and then maybe one of the nonfiction, because I'm already reading those. I'd like to get to those, but there's other ones I want to get to too, because a lot of times I pick up other ones from the library, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so tell me what your priorities are, what you're really excited to read for July, if you're doing Jane Austen July, or if you're not reading those, what are you reading? Where is your mood taking you? I hope everybody is looking forward to July. I'm hoping to just get over being sick, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.